Hey stars, it's me, Shorter Star, and I'm back. Listen, I'm going to take my time with this one. As you can see in my title, it's about the Real Housewives of Potomac star Wendy and Eddie Osefo, right? Okay, first off, I'm drinking me some lemon ginger tea this morning because I got some tea for you. And I'm aware that people have been talking about this story since Friday, but I wanted to wait to get more information, as much information as I could, and bring it to my subscribers, right? And what I'm noticing while watching stories about Wendy and Eddie, um, people are not familiar with them. If you don't watch The Housewives of Potomac, you're not going to be familiar with who we're talking about. So, what I'm going to do in this video is bring you up to speed about who Wendy and Eddie is and the Housewives of Potomac and where it all fits in. It's a lot of moving parts. And let's get into it. Now, I'm going to give me 1 second. Let me bring this up. And so we'll know who we're talking about. Because, like I said, I'm noticing a lot of people aren't. And this is Wendy and Eddie Osefo. Now, Wendy and Eddie Osefo are cast members on The Real Housewives of Potomac, which is in Potomac, Maryland, right? And Wendy, of course, is about the housewives, so it's more so about the wives. Wendy is a degreed up professor. Well, she's a former professor at John Hopkinson, and everyone knows that John Hopkinson is one of the best schools in the world. I wouldn't even say the country, in the world. So to be a professor there says a lot for you. And Wendy, these housewife shows are built on the successful being rich and being famous and having all the luxuries that life can bring you for being successful. And we know that we have two franchises that's pretty much dedicated to people of a darker hue, and that would be Housewives of Atlanta and now Housewives of Potomac. Pretty much all black cast. Every now and again something is thrown in, but it's really an all black cast, which makes it special and which makes it different. However, Wendy is a former professor of John Hopkinson School, and she's been used as a correspondent because of all her degrees. She's a doctor. She has like 4 doctorate degrees, and she lets you know from point blank, call me Dr. Wendy. Don't call me Wendy Osefo. She is serious. And they're both from Nigeria. And allegedly, her family has been on the show ever so often, and her mom, from where they're from in Nigeria, it's a big deal to have titles. So it's a big deal for the mom to have a daughter who's a doctor and to have a son-in-law who's an attorney. So they're big shit we're from their village and from their tribe, right? Okay, so just imagine the embarrassment now. Okay, so let's get back to the story. So Wendy, she's big on that. So Wendy and her husband alleged that they had a home break in back in April of 2024. We're now in October 2025. So this investigation has gone on for a while. Okay. So Wendy and Eddie claim that Wendy and Eddie and their 2 sons were away in Jamaica for spring break when this break in occurred. So apparently, they alleging when they came home from vacation, they found their parts of their houses and their bedrooms ransacked. And they're claiming that $450,000 worth of jewelry and bags and things were taken. And that's possible. But what's happening is the insurance company, first of all, doesn't believe it. And I'm going to tell you a couple of points of why. First off, the police have an email in their possession that Eddie wrote to Wendy, allegedly asking her to find any other high-end items to add to the case. So they can get, high price, high ticket items to add to the claim because their claim pays up to $400,000 or so. This is alleged, but the police and the insurance company are stating that they have this email from Eddie to Wendy asking her to find some other high ticket items to add to this claim. Okay. That's first off. Also, they have Instagram pictures of Wendy wearing some of the jewelry that she claimed was stolen. Now, you say, wow, this woman is a doctor. She has 4 degrees. He's an attorney. You would know better. Not necessarily. Um, Greed is something else. And I, this is all alleged at this point. They haven't, they've been charged, but they haven't been convicted of anything at this point. But let me give you a little background. And apparently, they started a Happy Eddie cannabis business, I would say between a year and 2 years ago. And they claim that it's doing great. Happy Eddie Cannabis. That's why I state I'm not sure if Eddie is a practicing attorney. He is an attorney. We know he's passed the bar. We know that he has practice. But is he presently practicing? I don't know. And I say that because I actually watched the show and I remember Ashley and Wendy having an argument and Ashley saying to Wendy, so what is Eddie doing? And she says, oh, Eddie is an attorney. And she said, yeah, but is he working? Is he working? And Wendy just went off on another rant. So I remember that being, so there's the question of, yeah, he's an attorney, but is he a practicing attorney? Is he bringing in any money being an attorney? Okay, so now the thing is where they live, and they live in, it's called Carroll County in Maryland. So they're right outside of Potomac, right? This is a new neighborhood. When I say new, this neighborhood has existed for between 20 to 22 years. And in Atlanta and different states, neighborhoods are being invented monthly, yearly. There's something that just used to be nothing but dirt, now is a complete new neighborhood. So their neighborhood, which is supposed to be allegedly an uppity neighborhood, right? You're talking about Dr. Osefo and Osefo Esquire, speaking of Eddie, right? So the area they live in is supposed to be influential. And there's been no robberies. There's been no, they've been no burglaries or anything in this neighborhood since it's been in existence for 20 to 22 years. So that's first off. It's like, okay, why all of a sudden you? Just stating, allegedly, right? And their ring camera, they have cameras, picked up nothing. There was no fourth entry, but some of the things that they claim besides the jury, they claim $2,500 in damages. So you would assume maybe a door was kicked in, some windows were broken. But again, the police is stating that when they came and investigated, there was no broken doors, broken windows. It was things thrown about allegedly, and they're claiming all of these things have been stolen and taken. So they filed a claim to an insurance company. But wait, they didn't just file a claim for one insurance company, they filed a claim for 3 insurance companies. Now, if you know anything about insurance, and I think most of us as adults have some type of insurance policies, if it's homeowners insurance, car insurance, life insurance, we've dealt with insurance companies, right? And we also know, and I ain't got to say allegedly, I can honestly say, well, I'll say allegedly, the insurance company is not to give you money, it's to take your money. Meaning, insurance is for just in case. And all of us pay for insurance so just in case something happens. But if nothing happens, you don't get your money back. You had that coverage for that time just in case something happened. So I say all that to say insurance companies are not in the business of giving you money. They're in the business allegedly of just taking our money. Okay? So when you're doing a claim of 400 and up to $450,000, they are going to investigate day and night. And why Wendy and her attorney husband didn't think of that, I don't understand, but whatever. Sometimes we get caught up in the grandeur of things and thinking $450,000 isn't a lot, but that's close to $500,000. So think about that. So again, there was no cameras recording anything, nothing, but they also put in the charge, like I said, for $2,500 for damages. And we were assuming allegedly it would be for windows or doors or whatever. However, they gained entry to your home. But again, nothing, right? So what I will say is both of them are indicted on 7 counts of insurance fraud and 8 counts of conspiracy to commit insurance fraud, right? Now, Wendy has been saying in episodes, because again, I watch this show. When first of all, Wendy has gotten her body done, and this has nothing to do with this, but Wendy got her body done a year or a year and a half, 2 years ago, and she looks great. But her style of dressing and everything has completely changed. Where now that she has new boobs or new backside, whatever, allegedly, she wants to show it off. So she dresses totally different in the past 2 seasons of this show, right? And every time somebody asks her about something, she's like, "Oh, Happy Eddie is doing great." So you would assume someone that's in the cannabis business, since marijuana and cannabis has been legal in a lot of states and it's making a lot of money. So anybody that's pretty much involved in cannabis legally or illegally, but legally is making a truckload of money, I would assume, right? Now, I just don't understand her being a doctor and having so many doctorates, and him being an attorney. And from what I understand, allegedly he's a tax attorney, so he should be even more in the know of how numbers work and what you should be. I'm just stating. I would just think, you know what I mean? I've worked with attorneys and major law firms for the past 25 years of my life, and investigating teams are not a game. And I know how it goes. So I didn't understand him being an attorney, why he thought this would be just so easy breezy cover girl. I don't get it. Okay. But I'm going to bring up another question. Is being a housewife and being in this franchise of housewives from New York to OC, Atlanta, Beverly Hills, Salt Lake City, is the pressures of living this particular high life, having the big house, having the cars, having the jewelry, um, is this adult peer pressure? And sometimes elderly peer pressure, no shade, because we're talking about Karen Huger, who's up in age, and she wasn't arrested for fraud. But I'm going to bring in how Karen Huger, Leanne Decepte, the Countess from New York. Um, I'm going to explain to you what I mean. It's the pressures of being a housewife and being on top and having these material things, making people come out of their character and putting unwanted pressure on them to live up to these expectations. And I say this because I'm going to say, let's not forget Teresa and Joe Judice, New York. New Jersey housewife. They both were convicted and served time in jail for tax fraud, right? We're aware of that. Then we go to Housewives of Salt Lake City, Jen Shaw, who's now presently in jail serving time for fraud. That's Salt Lake City. Now we have Wendy and Eddie of Housewives of Potomac, Maryland, being, I don't want to say too much there, being, how can I say it, and be charged with fraud. Okay? Now, that's that. But let's speak of the Shannon Bedores. She's from Orange County. She's a housewife. She was arrested for drunk driving. We have Karen Huger from Housewives of Potomac in Maryland, which I said now is serving time for drunk driving. And allegedly, she had been caught drunk driving a few times. Okay? Then we have Gina. I can't say her name, but Gina from Orange County, she was also arrested for drunk driving. We have Luann Decepte, ex-countess, New York housewives, arrested for drunk driving. So what I'm trying to say is the pressures of being these housewives and working in these franchise and working for these networks, putting you under pressure to where you're committing fraud, allegedly. You're so stressed out at what's going on that you're excessively drinking and allegedly driving. And I don't have to say allegedly because each and every one of these women have been convicted of drunk driving. So it actually happened. I'm just saying, guys, I want to know, do you think that there's a lot of adult peer pressure with these women in this particular franchise of housewives? I'm sure there's challenges everywhere, but to live up to this lifestyle and to constantly, I was just telling Leighton, and we were talking about the pressures yesterday, and I said to him, I said, babe, think of this. You're filming a few months, 3 months out of every year. And for these 3 months out of every year, you have to be on it. You want to show your house. You want to show that everything is great. You want to show a new vehicle every year or so. You want to show that you're growing and that you're living the life that you're portraying you're living. And all of that brings pressure. Those of us regular, not 1%ers, we're not billionaires, and some of us not even millionaires of the 1% of the wealth in this country. We have pressures every day, but I think that when you put it in front of a camera and people praise you, and I can honestly say, under my own experience, people will put pressures on you. Your own friends, your own family will put pressures on you that can be overwhelming, meaning regular smegular people like myself, okay? Regular smegular, whatever. Um, if you drive a Jaguar, and you're looking for a new car, your friends and families, oh, you should go for the new Maserati or you should go for the new Lamborghini because they want you to continue to keep going up. But that's pressure. Um, Life isn't always great all the time. And money comes and money goes. Sometimes you're doing great for the past 5 years, and then you have 2 years of a slump where things just doesn't seem, and you have to reinvent yourself and do things. But instead of reinventing themselves and finding new ways of making money, I'm finding that the people in these particular franchises are turning to fraud. I mean, like I said, you have Jen Shaw of the Housewives of Salt Lake City. She's in prison now for fraud. So don't say that it's something that happens every now and again. I just mentioned to you, we have Teresa and Joe Judice. We have Jen Shaw. We now have Wendy and Eddie. You had Shannon Bedore, drunk driving. You had Karen Huger, drunk driving. You had Gina Kishar, drunk driving. You had Luann Desep, drunk driving. These are pressures. And I'm sorry to think that these things are just happening. No, these are pressures that people are put under. Like I said, under my own, I've had people put me under pressure. Oh, your next car should be this, and your next. When, mind you, the people that's doing that don't even have a car majority of the time. You're picking them up and dropping them off, but they're telling you what your next vehicle should be or where your next home should be. It's weird. And like I said, peer pressure, adult peer pressure, it exists. Point blank. Period. Listen, guys, please comment, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And please comment with me on this particular subject. I want to know what you guys think, because I think it's more than a coincidence that this many people from one franchise, meaning Housewives franchise, are going through all of these issues of fraud and drunk driving and divorce. Let's not even speak of divorce. Look at every franchise of the Housewives. You've seen almost allegedly every housewife go through a divorce at this point. So the pressures are definitely there. Listen, I want you to be intentional. I want you to be in the know. I want, when you go to work on Monday, on tomorrow, people are going to be talking about it. I want you to have a breakdown because, like I said, I had been seeing stories about Wendy and Eddie Osefo and the charges that they were being brought up on, the felony charges of fraud, but they're not explaining who they were. And if you don't watch Housewives of Potomac, you're not going to know. And I want my people, subscribers, to be in the know. And I actually watch the show, so I can actually fill you in. So please comment, like, share, and subscribe, and comment on this matter, and let me know what your thoughts are. I don't think it's coincident. I don't. I think the pressures are crazy. Until next time, guys, I love you. Speak to you soon.